Welcome, Totem Pole Nation. It is Lambo's Water Sports, presented to you by Sideline Sports Network. We're going solo on a Monday, but the University of Colorado, ladies and gentlemen, have made an impression. The University of Colorado in primetime Deion Sanders make history. They beat the ranked team in TCU 45-42. I saw the game from start to finish. Travis Hunter is him. He is that guy. There's a lot of great things that is going on with the University of Colorado. Do you believe in primetime Deion Sanders? Yes, I do. I believe in a lot of things that is going to happen for this culture and for this brand of Colorado football. The Pac-12, by the way, they're still in the Pac-12 until next year, but the Pac-12, by the way, is 13-0 in week 1. So we have a lot of things going on. There's a play right here where Travis Hunter picks the interception off. You know what I'm saying? So I got some footage on that. But at the same time, Colorado's a big deal. And Colorado, ladies and gentlemen, will beat the crap out of Nebraska. Okay, so situation. It's game time situation. It's 24-21. Colorado up by 3. It's a crucial 3rd and 1 call. Okay? Now, by the way, with TCU, they were running the football with Amani Bailey and Trey Sanders. Now, I think Trey Sanders and Amani Bailey was in this position. I feel like on 3rd and 1, they should have just ran the ball instead of throwing the ball. Now, I understand they wanted to be aggressive. They wanted to throw a touchdown. But you see here, this is doubles. All right? You probably can't see the bottom screen. Well, yes, you can. My bad. So it's doubles formation. So you got two receivers on the left side, 2 wide receivers on the right side. And Colorado, how many guys do they have up front? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive linemen. They have a Mike linebacker on the outside right here, which is 6. So what's a good example? Y'all think this is man coverage, right? Travis Hunter's right here. I can't really point it out. It's my mouth. Travis Hunter's right there. That's Travis Hunter. You think he has that slot receiver, but he doesn't have that slot receiver. He's actually going for the running back. So the safety that's right beside him actually has the slot receiver. Now, here's my TCU on this drive ran the ball effectively, but they didn't run it on this particular play. I think this might have been the key reasons why it cost them the game. Chad Morris already had an interception thrown earlier in the game as well. So here's what you should have done. 3rd and 1, you run the football. They throw it. Here's the play, ladies and gentlemen. Bam, interception. I knew this was an interception off the rip. That's a great play by Travis Hunter, ladies and gentlemen. Great play. But the ball, I think, is a little bit late. You see how it's behind the running back? But at the same time, all I got to tell you is TCU, you have to run the ball on 3rd and 1. That's all I have to tell you in this situation. You run the football on 3rd and 1, and that's how you get into the end zone. You don't throw the ball like that behind. So, by Kendall Browns, who's the new offensive coordinator, it's a bad play call. But primetime Deion Sanders, by the way, makes history. 45-42. They were 20-point underdogs according to Caesar Sportsbet. They're 20-point underdogs according to DraftKings and FanDuel and all this other stuff. And I think I was wrong. I said TCU was going to beat the Buffs. They had a chance to. I mean, if you watch the game fully, they had a chance to beat them. The turnovers happened. The last play of the game, Colorado fought. It's the last play of the game. Colorado is weak defensively. They have a former defensive coordinator who used to coach at the University of Florida State under Jimbo Fisher, the bald-head guy. I can't remember his name on top of my head. But a lot of things Colorado needs to work on. By the way, Shedeur Sanders, ladies and gentlemen, threw 38 for 47, 510 yards, and 4 touchdowns with no turnovers. Shedeur Sanders, ladies and gentlemen, is the most accurate quarterback in all of college football. He is the most accurate. I didn't say he was the best quarterback in college football. He's the most accurate quarterback in all of college football. Yes, Shedeur Sanders. Now, ladies and gentlemen, TCU Why are they ranked number 17? Because TCU doesn't play any typical defense. I understand they made it to the national championship last year and whatnot, but at the same time, they don't have a defense. The defense couldn't stop anybody from the start of the game. I was very disappointed, but TCU also had a chance to win the game. So, not really too much to say. You had Dylan Edwards, who had a total of 3 touchdowns receiving, 5 receptions for 135 yards, while only 6 carries for 124 yards. And Travis Hunter's that guy. He played both offense and defense with that interception that I just put on video. Travis Hunter is that dude. He gets bored on offense, play him on both sides of the ball. Coach Prime said they're going to give him a hot tub. Do you believe in the University of Colorado? Yes, I do, because I said Colorado's going to win 9+ games. And my former partner, who is somewhat not here today, said it was going to be 7-5 and 6-6, which I would debate with him on that because he'll be back on the show on Wednesday. And I'm going to keep my hopes high on Colorado. By the way, Colorado does play the University of Nebraska. It's a must game to watch. I think Colorado beats the crap out of Nebraska. And TCU plays Nichols University at 8 o'clock, so it should be somewhat of an easy W. So we'll see how that goes along the lines. It was a great game, very exciting game for week 1 of college football. Very proud of both teams. Even though I picked TCU, it was a hard-fought game, a high-scoring, hard-fought game, no defense. The game came down to a 4th down situation. So congratulations to the University of Colorado. There is a lot of things that is going on along those lines. So I'm going to shift gears a little bit. So I'm going to go right into the James Harden situation for the Philadelphia 76ers. So is James Harden going to play this year? Not sure. He basically went on a tour, I think somewhere in China or whatnot, and called Daryl Morey a liar. And I guess there was some behind-the-scenes stuff where he promised that man to give him some type of money, and things must have came out, or he didn't like the frustration. By the way, for the Philadelphia 76ers in the NBA, they went through a coaching change. They fired Doc Rivers. They hired former G League coach Nick Nurse, who's won championships in the G League, also who won the NBA Finals in 2019 with the Toronto Raptors with Kawhi Leonard, Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry, Serge Ibaka. They had the whole squad. How do I feel about the James Harden situation? James Harden wants to bail out of every situation possible. He bailed out of Houston. He bailed out of Brooklyn. He wants to bail out of Philly. How does this make Joel Embiid feel? Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Philadelphia 76ers have all of the talent in the University of America. They have all the talent in the University of the world. They have every talent. Tyrese Maxey's part of that. James Harden, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris. They have a good group of little guys. But they hadn't made it to the Eastern Conference Finals since the Allen Iverson days. Pretty embarrassing. All right. The 76ers can't get past the Boston Celtics. All right. They can beat any other team except the Boston Celtics. They get whooped every year. They got whooped this past season because they're garbage. But with the James Harden situation, I think his player option was about $36 million. He opted out, and he wants out of the contract. So I guess at first he agreed to a contract, and then he just all of a sudden wants out. So James Harden has to attend training camp, I think, because if he doesn't attend any type of camp or he sits out of games, he will get fined a hefty fine. It's not like the NFL where you hold out and you don't get fined until after 8 weeks. Or you get fined, but depending on your contract. But if James Harden would get fined hefty, I'm not sure if James Harden is a good asset to the Philadelphia 76ers. The question is where he would go. I think he wanted to go to the Clippers. That trade was also didn't work out. It's a possibility he wanted to go back to the Rockets with Ime Udoka. That story went out the window. So with James Harden's situation, I'm not really sure what they want to do. I think he plays this year. But I think at the same time, along those lines, I'm not very impressed with the James Harden situation. I don't know what to think of it too much. Like I said, NBA season is about 2 months away, actually a month away with the preseason going on in October. So James Harden, be there with your team. Don't make it a distraction. Joel Embiid is part of the center. Because I think if James Harden leaves, the Joel Embiid stays long term for the 76ers. Because Joel Embiid wants to win the championship too. By the way, Joel Embiid was his MVP last year, by the way. I know he folded under pressure against those Boston Celtics. He didn't really step up. I know he has a history of injuries and back problems and all that other stuff. But I think at the same time, James Harden, come back to the team, play for one more year. You got a new coach. I know you don't want to play for Daryl Morey and that owner and whatever part ownership you had when y'all was with the Houston Rockets together. So James Harden, play for your team. Don't do too many things. We'll see how this goes. Now I'm going to get into the NFL real quick. Mike Evans apparently wanted some type of extension. Mike Evans, ladies and gentlemen, plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, one of the top leading receivers. I think he leads the league in receiving touchdowns for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He went through a lot of quarterbacks. He went through Jameis Winston. Tom Brady, now Baker Mayfield. I mean, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers been through it all. Mike Evans has been through it all. So they went through a whole change. The quarterback competition, Baker Mayfield beat Kyle Trask out of the situation. Mike Evans wants his money, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Evans, by the way, is a top 5 wide receiver. I will get into that probably in the next episode of MattPatt. Mike Evans is a top 5 wide receiver. I know we talk about the Stephon Diggs, the DeAndre Hopkins, and those guys, but you're forgetting Mike Evans. Mike Evans is that guy. Mike Evans is that dude. He's that dude. So the question is, are you going to pay this man? Now, according to his agent, they said he's going to give it to the first game of the year. That he's going to stop the talks, and then after the first game of the season, he's going to stop the talks, and then after the first game of the season, they probably continue on, or he's going to stop it for right now so it doesn't be a distraction of the team, which I respect that from Mike Evans in the situation. But I think at the same time, you need to pay him. But also, there are some things going on. Mike Evans could be part of trade talks. One of them is with the Dallas Cowboys, and one of them is with the Bills, which is not shocking because the reason why I say the Bills is because of the Stephon Diggs situation. How long is Stephon Diggs going to stay with the Bills? We're not very sure. I'm not sure how long they're going to stay on him for. But Mike Evans is a 4-time Pro Bowler. He wants a contract extension. His deal will be up after the season. He's entering a final year of a 5-year, $82 million extension. He's expected to make $13 million and receive $1.5 million in bonuses in March. His deal right now includes a 3-year void through 2024 and 2026. And they're working on new offers. But Mike Evans wants to be a Buck for life. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trending in a different direction. So there's a possibility that Mike Evans could be a part of trade talks either after this season, which Dallas Cowboys are a contender, and the Buffalo Bills. Of course, the Patriots are involved in those talks, but the Patriots couldn't even get DeAndre Hopkins, so I'm not really sold on that at all. By the way, Mike Evans has posted 9 straight seasons with the Buccaneers of 1,000 yards. He's the first player in NFL history. He is third behind the 1,000-yard receivers in Jerry Rice, who had 14, Randy Moss with 10. Mike Evans, like I said, has owned every single franchise record, including most career touchdowns at 81. He has 683 career receptions and career receiving yards at 10,425. So Mike Evans is that guy. If I'm telling you Buccaneers, pay the man. Pay that man. Pay him. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you're going to the wrong direction. You're going back downhill when you had John Gruden as your head coach, when you won in 2002, and you went up and down the hill, you're going back down. Remember, you don't have Tom Brady anymore. You have Baker Mayfield, who was the number 1 overall pick and a bust. That's all I have to say about the Bucs. The Bucs need to pay Mike Evans. I hope Mike Evans gets paid top-notch money. The next thing I'm going to really talk about is Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all knocking off those Rams, baby. The Rams had not made the playoffs for the first time last year in the Sean McVay era when he was hired in 2017 as the head coach after Jeff Fisher got fired in 2016 in all or nothing Los Angeles Rams series that was on Amazon Prime in 2016. The Rams, ladies and gentlemen, are going to be a playoff contender. I said that in Life Lessons and Coach Bald on Friday. I said the Rams would be a playoff contender. The Rams would be back. Now the question is, will Cooper Kupp play week 1? He's dealing with a hamstring injury and whatnot, and he's day-to-day. Will he play? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not really sure how this is going to go. But the Rams, they're going to be second in the division behind the 49ers. The 49ers will win that division, and then you have the Rams. The Rams will be right behind. The Rams this year will be 11-6. Matthew Stafford coming back healthy as ever. They will not tank. They still have Aaron Donald on the defensive side. By the way, I think Sony Michel retired as the running back earlier in the summer, back in August. He retired. So the running back situation, they still have Cam Akers, I think. So we'll see how the Rams do. But the Rams, they have the receivers. Despite of them missing OBJ, they have Allen Robinson, who's really good on the outside. The Rams are going to the playoffs, baby. I'm very confident in the Rams going to the playoffs because that's what's going to happen. The Rams are going to the playoffs. They will be contenders. Don't be surprised if the Rams somehow slip in the NFC divisional round and they beat those Dallas Cowboys, or they play the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. So the Rams are a playoff contender. They will do some things in the future. I promise you they will. Do not sleep on the Los Angeles Rams and Sean McVay because they will not have another losing season, and they will be competitive. And I know y'all people are not talking about them. Y'all are writing them off. But don't you ever write off those Los Angeles Rams because I have faith in Sean McVay. Now we're going to go to the whole ACC expansion. Back to college football. Switching gears real quick. The ACC is now going to add Stanford, California, and SMU as new members of the ACC in 24, which has 18 total teams in the ACC, 17 full-time members. Now, when I say 17 full-time members, there's one team that's not in the ACC, which is Notre Dame. Notre Dame's in the ACC in every other sport except football. Football, they're the independent conference. So with this, how do you feel about all California schools going to the ACC? Does it bring money? The vote was 12-3, by the way. I think Florida State and Clemson and another school didn't want them in the ACC for apparent reasons or whatnot, but they won. All the additions will start in the 2024-2025 school year. They are thrilled. There's going to be a lot of good competition going on. North Carolina and NC State didn't want them in there either. So they wanted to vote 12-3. But I think there's a lot of things that you're going to have to really focus on, by the way, because SMU is not going to get any TV revenue for the next 9 years. So they're going to go 9 years with no TV revenue. And between SMU and Stanford, they'll have about 30% of the shares. That's what's going to happen. They're going to have about 30% of the shares. So I think at the same time, when you have those 30% of the shares, we'll see how this goes along the lines. Do I somewhat agree with that? Not really, not necessarily. I don't agree with that at all. But I think at the same time, is it good for college football? Next year, by the way, the Big Ten will also have 18 teams. The Big 12 and the SEC will have 16. With the move, with the Pac-12 just leaves two remaining programs, Washington State and Oregon State have been a continuous spiral that have been seeing the leagues lose 8 teams since late July. Cal, Stanford will each start out receiving 30% of the ACC payouts, which the money of the revenue is going to make between $50 and $60 million. Some of the revenue will be divided proportionally among the 14 members and Notre Dame, because Notre Dame is in the ACC in every other sports department except football. And other portions will be part to pool designated for success and award-winning programs. And for Stanford and Cal, it'll be 30% of the whole ACC for the next 7 years. That number will jump from 70% in year 8 and 75% in year 9. Both of those schools won't have full financial shares until the 10th year in the ACC. So you're talking about in 2035, they'll have the full shares. Does it bother me being an ACC guy, liking Virginia Tech and all these other teams? No, it doesn't bother me at all. How does it bother you? How does it affect you, by the way? Because there's a lot of things that's going on. Everything's about money. I think college football will be competitive in a lot of ways. They'll be very competitive. They'll have a lot of things going on. And I think at the same time, this is different for college football. And this is where you set the standard. The standard goes a long way. Now, we'll switch to the NFL gears. Chris Jones and Nick Bosa have not got paid yet. Two best defensive tackles of all time. They have not gotten paid. Why have they not gotten paid yet? Why? Nick Bosa had, 18 and a half sacks last year. I think he has a total of between 30 and 35 sacks in the past 2 years. Chris Jones has 15 and a half sacks last season. Didn't get paid his money yet. By the way, the Chiefs do play the Lions on Thursday. So the question is, will Chris Jones play, or does he wait a whole 8 weeks to play? Does that affect the Chiefs? Does it affect the Chiefs' pass rush? It affects the pass rush, but as a team in a whole, they had Pat Mahomes at the starting quarterback position. Pat Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL as of right now. I didn't say he was better than Tom Brady. He has a long way to go before he's better than Tom Brady. As of right now, in the era of playing in the NFL, Pat Mahomes is one of the greatest of all time. Talent-wise, everything. They won the Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. They still have Sky Moore. They have Travis Kelce. They have Mecole Hardman. Last year they had Mecole Hardman. He went to the Jets. They got rid of Juju as well. They still have Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the running back spot. They have a lot of good guys. And now Andy Reid, with no Eric Bieniemy, I think they'll be stronger and they'll be better than ever. So will this hurt them? Maybe. We'll see how the season goes. I don't think it'll hurt them too much. But it's going to get to a point where they can't see the Chiefs got to keep scoring and keep scoring and keep scoring. Because when you don't have Chris Jones as your pass rusher, things happen. Now, Travis Kelce mentioned in his podcast with his brother Jason Kelce that he wants him back. He desperately wants him back. And there's probably some situation going on money-wise that he does not know. And why Chris Jones has not appeared in training camp. He hasn't appeared in anything. So hopefully Chris Jones gets his money. But Nick Bosa needs his money too, by the way. We're not going to forget about Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa needs his money. There's a lot of things going on. Why is Nick Bosa had not got paid? You know, you're worried about the quarterback situation. You're worried about, is Trey Lance the guy? Or Trey Lance is gone. All right, you have Brock Purdy and you have Sam Darnold. You lost your defensive coordinator in DeMeco Ryans. Now you have Steve Wilkes, defensive coordinator for the 49ers. All right, Nick Bosa's not there. You better hope you sign Nick Bosa too. Nick Bosa is that guy. Nick Bosa wants to be the highest paid defensive player of all time. I think he wants more money than Aaron Donald and Chris Jones combined. He wants the money. Nick Bosa is a freak. You watch Nick Bosa at the University of Ohio State. You watch that man at the University of Ohio State. He is a beast to be reckoned with. Unstoppable. He is great. He's great. He's awesome. He's great. He's awesome. He's going to do things. 49ers and John Lynch. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch. Get the money right with Nick Bosa. This is Lambo coming at you that knows all the facts about football. Please sign Nick Bosa. And if you're Hunt from the Chiefs, the GM, sign Chris Jones. Sign him. The defensive players deserve all the respect in football, and they need to get signed. Sign everybody. Stop waiting around. Now, the last thing I'm going to recap all college football games. First game to recap is North Carolina versus South Carolina. Woo! Man, Shane Beamer, ladies and gentlemen. I voted for UNC to win this game. Drake May, he did some excellent things, but he made a couple of mistakes as well. Drake May is Drake May. He threw it to the receivers. They did a very excellent job. I mean, it was a very great game in the first half, and it just got away from him. The game really got away from him in the third quarter. That's when UNC took over, but also, by the way, UNC took over based off their defense. They took over that defense. The defense of UNC was excellent. You got Gene Chizik, who was on our show a couple months back. He called the defense excellent. By the way, North Carolina only had 17 sacks last year. They sacked Spencer Rattler 9 times. They sacked Spencer Rattler 9 times. 9. What does that tell you? The South Carolina offensive line is the pure weakness. They can't block anybody. Spencer Rattler, he needs help. They don't have a running game. Look what South Carolina ran the ball for -2 yards and 31 carries. -2 yards. Spencer Rattler threw for 353 and he had no touchdowns. The touchdowns were based off running the football. They had Xavier Legette at 9 receptions, 178 yards, and no touchdowns. Uh-oh. South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen, oh my God, the offensive line is bad. Did you hear what Shane Beamer said in the press conference? Something about the chain guys eating a hot dog or whatever. I don't know if that's an excuse, Shane Beamer. Come on now. The offensive line was weak. The play calling was terrible. Then you got in a 4th and 19 and a 4th and 21, and then get past the sticks. That's terrible coaching. That's terrible coaching. Come on now. UNC was the better team. Congratulations to Matt Brown. Matt Brown has won his 100th game with the University of Texas and UNC. Matt Brown, ladies and gentlemen, UNC is the team to watch for. Drake May did have 2 interceptions, but you had Brooks running the ball on the ground for 15 carries, 103 yards. He averaged 6.9 carries a game. UNC was able to run the football. South Carolina couldn't. The team that is able to oppose the will on the offensive line, they're able to run the football, wins. UNC did that. South Carolina had -2 yards rushing. North Carolina had 168 with 269 yards passing. Drake May, Heisman candidate. I know you're talking about Travis Hunter and maybe we should do Sanders up there too, but Drake May, ladies and gentlemen, do not sleep on Drake May. By the way, UNC plays Appalachian State next. South Carolina plays Furman next. Now I'm going to recap Virginia Tech and ODU. Virginia Tech and ODU. Congratulations. Virginia Tech won. I'm a Tech fan, but I'm very harsh on them. They beat ODU and Ricky Rhyme in his 4th year in the Old Dominion program. Congratulations. Grant Wells played the best I've ever seen in my entire career as a Tech fan. Tech defense brought it, but they can't stop the run. They can't stop the run. The quarterback ran for about 80 yards on the ground off 19 carries. The run defense of Virginia Tech is terrible. Congratulations. Grant Wells threw for about 4 touchdown passes. Ali Jennings is that guy, the Old Dominion transfer. He's great. It's awesome. Virginia Tech did what it was supposed to do. There's not really too much to explain in this game. I watched this game from start to finish while watching the South Carolina and North Carolina game. I multitask. I'm all about sport. I sit there and watch the games all day. I had it on my PlayStation 5 and my laptop. Here's my point. How consistent is Virginia Tech going to be? Virginia Tech plays Purdue next week. Purdue is known for upsetting teams. Purdue upset Iowa last year. Iowa, at the time, was the number 2 team in the nation last year. Can you stop Purdue? Will the Baylor transfer quarterback, will he somewhat play? Will Grant Wells play the same way he played against ODU? Will he play the same way? We'll see how that goes. I think some of the play calling is somewhat suspect. I think Grant Wells, he did excellent. He threw the ball, but there's some throws he definitely missed. He overthrows guys on those same routes. He needs to work on that. ODU, probably be a sorry team. Virginia Tech, congratulations, you're 1-0. Please do your job against Purdue on Saturday because I'm very hard on Virginia Tech. Do your job and beat Purdue on a Saturday. Grant Wells, congratulations. I hope you keep your job. Because I really had no hopes for Grant Wells. No hope. He proved me wrong for one game, but how good would he do towards the end of the season? How good would Grant Wells be? We'll see how that goes against Purdue. And the next game I'm going to cover Penn State and West Virginia. Well, Drew Outlaw, ladies and gentlemen. New era in Penn State, he's that guy. He's that guy. Drew Outlaw is that guy. Penn State did what they need to do. They threw the ball for 300 yards. He was 21 of 29 for 325 and 3 touchdowns. Penn State rushed the ball for 146 yards. They ran the ball effectively. Great job. Penn State, ladies and gentlemen, was a team that won 11 games last year. They won the Rose Bowl. They beat Utah. I'm proud. Excellent. I think Drew Outlaw is going to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in college football as time comes. West Virginia, Lord of mercy. Garrett Green, 162 yards passing. They still ran the ball for 146 yards. They had Donaldson and Green. The quarterback rushed for 15 and 71 yards, and C.J. Donaldson, the running back, rushed for 81 yards. They just couldn't score. The Penn State defense is a real deal. Penn State is one of the top 3 defenses in the Big Ten. It's not hard. This was no matchup. There was no matchup at all. This matchup wasn't even close. It was not close at all. Drew Outlaw is that guy. Penn State will do what needs to get done. Penn State plays Delaware next week. West Virginia, same old sorry West Virginia. We don't care who they play because West Virginia has not been the same team in about 6 years. Pointless game, not too much to talk about. Oh, Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about this game. We have to talk about this game. Texas Tech and Texas State and Baylor. Oh, my God. Texas State and Baylor. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I understand that MattPatt picked them to pick Baylor to be a stinky team, but Baylor is just, oh my God, awful. Who is Texas State? Who is Texas State? Who are they? They lost 42-31 at their home field. Oh my God. Baylor had the lead. They lost it. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Armato, who was a former defensive coordinator under Ed Orgeron, is on a hot seat. Texas State and their quarterback, TJ Finley, 298 off 22-30 passing and 3 touchdowns. They ran the ball effectively. Calvin Hill and Ismail Madali both combined for 143 yards on the ground while the quarterback rushed for 20. Joey Herbert, 6 receptions for 105 yards. Cole Wilson, 5 for 65. One of the white boys had a catch of the year. One-handed catch off the sideline. Boom. Effective. Tremendous. Awesome. College football, Texas State. Oh, my God. Texas State. Baylor. Baylor has not been good since the Matt Rule era. They were okay last year or the year before last year. We thought Baylor was back, but I'm not sure about Baylor. What happened? You play Utah next week now. You're going 0-2. Baylor's going 0-2. They play Utah next week. Don't know how effective they are. They lost. It's not really too much to talk about. I don't know how you lose to Texas State. Don't mind me. You lose to Texas State. It's pretty embarrassing. Another matchup. Another upset. Texas Tech was up 17 against Wyoming. 17-0. Wyoming comes back and beats them in triple overtime. I picked Texas Tech to be the sneaker pick to possibly get in the college football playoff, and I'm wrong myself too. It's not just MattPatt that was wrong about Baylor. I'm wrong about Texas Tech. When you lose these games you're supposed to beat, you're not getting in the college football playoff. Like MattPatt said, and what I said as well, there's only going to be about 1 or 2 teams in that top 4 that can have 1 loss. Alabama had 2 losses last year. They didn't get in. They lost to Tennessee and they lost to LSU. They didn't get in. Clemson had a chance to get in. They lost 3 games. They lost to Notre Dame and South Carolina and got spanked by Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. Texas Tech, Joey McGuire, Tyler Show. How do you fold this game? You're up 17-0 and it's at the end of the first quarter. And all of a sudden, Wyoming is that team. Wyoming and Andrew Peasley at quarterback, 18 for 34, 149, and 2 touchdowns. Andrew Peasley had 68 yards rushing. The other running back, Sam Scott, had 44. DQ James had 35. Jamari Farrell had 21. So most of the rushing yards came from the quarterback. So Texas Tech, you can't stop the run. They didn't throw the ball too much. They ran it. They did what they're supposed to do. You don't sleep on Wyoming. You don't do that. Texas Tech blew a 17-0 lead and loss. Tyler Show only had 1 interception off 330 yards passing. They only ran the ball for a total of 93 yards. It wasn't really effective. But their receiving was 338 yards. So they only passed for 338 yards and 93 yards of total rushing. Texas Tech, you have to run the ball when you're up 17 points, not throw it, which means your offensive line can't really hold. They can't run the ball effectively. In order to, when you have a 17-point lead, you have to run the ball effectively and efficiently. And that wasn't done. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. Texas Tech got upset. Baylor got upset. Virginia versus Tennessee, not too much to talk about. I understand that Tony Elliott said it was a victory that they got out there. They had 3 guys. Mike Hollins, he survived the shooting. They had 3 guys that were involved in the shooting last year. By the way, UVA, don't disrespect my man and Coach Troy Taylor because you sent him and his son to a game and you made him something about he couldn't get on a bus. So UVA, you're not respected for that at all. UVA is garbage. They're not good. They're terrible. I texted somebody and said, oh, how do you feel about UVA? Well, we were doing good in the first quarter. Second quarter, our defense was great. Did you really think you was going to stop Tennessee and Joe Milton? Now, I understand Tennessee had a couple turnovers in that game, but I said this game was completely going to be lopsided. I almost predicted the correct score in this game. I think if I'm not mistaken, or when MattPatt comes back on his show on Wednesday, I said Tennessee was going to beat the brakes off them 59 to 13. I was off. I was right about 13. It was 49. The game wasn't close. Tennessee is the team to watch out for in the SEC, along with Georgia and Alabama. LSU is out of the equation. I will talk about them next. But Tennessee is a team you don't want to sleep on. All right? Looking at the Tennessee schedule, they play Austin Peay They play Florida. They play UTSA. They play South Carolina, Texas A&M, Alabama, Kentucky, UConn, Missouri, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. Ladies and gentlemen, by the time Tennessee gets to Alabama, they should be undefeated. Sarah Blake Cheek, we love you, the queen of SEC. Tennessee should be undefeated by the time you play Alabama on October 21st at the University of Alabama. And promise, you're not beating Alabama again. Last year, you got your little lucky roll, a little excitement. You beat Alabama for the first time since 2006, but that's not happening because Alabama will go undefeated. And Nick Saban is Nick Saban. And Jalen Monroe at the quarterback position is great. Mobile, can throw. Oh, my God. Tennessee is that team. But Tennessee will come out and they will lose 2 games. They will lose to Alabama and they will lose to Georgia. They will finish 11-2. They might be in the top 6, but they're not getting to the college football playoff. But by the time Tennessee plays Alabama on October 21st, which I'll be watching, sounding closely, they'll be undefeated. They should be undefeated. UVA ain't too much to talk about. Arkansas State and Oklahoma. Butch Jones, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't even know Butch Jones was part of the coaching staff until he was crying on the sidelines like a baby. I know Coach Taylor knows how to lose games. Not know how to lose, excuse me, but he's lost games. We all lost games as a coach. We don't cry. He cried like a baby. Arkansas State with Butch Jones was 5-20, but didn't they fire a coach that went 51-35 or something? And Butch Jones was 5-20 at Arkansas State. He was crying. Oklahoma beat the brakes off them 73-0. I don't even consider Oklahoma as a top Big 12 team this year. What they have, Dylan Gabriel at quarterback? I mean, Arkansas State, oh my God. 73-0. You let somebody beat you down 73-0. 73-0. Whew. Yeah. 73-0. Not too much to talk about. Butch Jones probably getting fired out of Arkansas State in no matter of the time. A great deal of time. Next game, I talk about Ohio State versus Indiana. I don't think it was that exciting to me. Ohio State did struggle. The score was only 23-3. Well, what does this tell you? Ohio State, with Kyle McCoy at quarterback, a lot of work that has to be done. A lot of work that has to be done. A lot of work. Ohio State struggled in the passing game. He threw 1 interception. They ran the ball somewhat effectively with Travion Henderson and Chip Traham. The receiver and Cade Schrover. Marvin Harrison Jr. only got 2 receptions. Ohio State, I'm not panicking on them. I think they'll win. They barely won. They beat an Indiana team 23-3. We'll see how good Kyle McCoy is. I understand he's taking over the reins of C.J. Stroud. We don't expect the guy to be the next C.J. Stroud. But when you struggle against teams you're supposed to beat, I think I'm very concerned. And by the way, they're already hyping up the matchup for September 23rd of Kyle McCoy versus Sam Hartman. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Hartman's been in college football for over 5 years. Kyle McCoy, you're a baby. You're just getting started. Ohio State, I'm not panicking, but Ohio State, if you watch that game against Indiana, they did so much struggle. They kicked a lot of field goals, kicked about 2 field goals, and scored about 2 touchdowns. Ohio State plays Youngstown State. Okay? Youngstown State, Western Kentucky. You should be 3-0. By the time you get to Notre Dame at home, you would be taking the L. That's what's going to happen. Ohio State fans, don't panic. I understand you got a new quarterback. You still have the same amount of running backs. You have Marvin Harrison Jr. I know you lost Jaden Smith-Jigba, who's with the Seattle Seahawks. I understand. But when you get to Notre Dame in that defense, you're going to take the L. Last game I'm predicting. Last game. Florida State and LSU. Sarah Blake Cheek was right. I was right. The top 25 were disrespectful. Very disrespectful. You put LSU at number 5, USC at number 6, Tennessee at number 12, Penn State at number 9. LSU's a top 5 team? What? Do you see what Florida State and Jordan Travis did? They whooped them. LSU, you up 17-14 at halftime. You got outscored 31-0 until they let you score in 1 minute and 24 seconds left in the game last night. Embarrassing. LSU is not going to be sitting in the top 4 by the end of the year. They already lost. They start off 0-1 just like last year. Brian Kelly, by the way, is 3-10 against ranked opponents up in the top 25. Brian Kelly was undefeated against Mike Norvell at the University of Notre Dame, but this ain't Notre Dame, Brian Kelly. This is LSU. And you got embarrassed. Remember that post-game interview you said Notre Dame needed to be executed or something? And he comes in the press conference after and said, who do we thought we were? Georgia, 2-time defending national championship. What happened? Brian Kelly, if you look at the game situation, the first play of the drive where Florida State has a penalty, jumps off sides, or has an unnecessary roughness, you didn't run it with your quarterback. 8 times in the red zone, you couldn't stuff it in. That could have been 24 points right there. You didn't run the ball enough with your quarterback. You kept trying to throw the ball. You look when LSU had the ball the first time or the second time. The first time when they drove down the field. You had 8 times to get in there, and you threw the ball twice and didn't run with your quarterback and got stuck. Florida State has an excellent defensive line. Mike Norvell has turned around the University of Florida State program around. Jordan Travis is that guy. He is a top 10 quarterback in all of college football as of right now. Woo, they got Coleman out of, oh my God. Coleman, the receiver, nice. Trey Benson did what he needed to do. Excellent job. Florida State whooped them so bad. Imposed their will. They imposed their will. LSU is not a top 5 team in college football. Overrated. I don't care if any LSU fans are in Totem Pole Nation. You know damn well you had no right being top 5. You went 10-4 last year and got spanked by Georgia in the SEC championship game last year. You was only in the top 5 because you beat Alabama. That's the only reason, because you beat Alabama. You came up there and said you was going to beat Florida State so bad you took a whoop. Ladies and gentlemen, your offensive coordinator, your play calling is not somewhat right. No. If I'm LSU, don't call for Brian Kelly's job. But the play calling was awful last night. 45-24. Last year's game was only 24-23. You missed that. You blocked the extra point. You got demolished. Jordan Travis had 5 touchdowns. You got demolished. LSU next week plays Grambling State, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Ole Miss. These are winnable games until you play at University of Alabama. Wait, by the way, you could lose to Ole Miss. You could. Your offensive line needs work. Your quarterback needs work. Florida State should be undefeated all the way until they play Clemson on the 23rd. Because they play Southern Miss and Boston College. And then Florida State after that has a bye week to play Virginia Tech. Ladies and gentlemen, Florida State and Clemson are the teams to watch out for in the ACC. It's not hard. It's simple. Florida State was the better team. LSU was the most overrated team in the SEC. Brian Kelly's a good coach. I respect him. I'm a Notre Dame fan. I appreciate what he did. All Brian Kelly cares about is beating Nick Saban. I don't think he cares about winning national championships. He cares about beating Nick Saban. Brian Kelly ain't on Nick Saban level. He got lucky last year. LSU, by the way, is going to lose about 3 games, 4 games like last year. They'll have the same record, 10-4. Thank you, Totem Nation. Lambo's World of Sports, written by Silent Sports Network. New episode, tune in on Wednesday with MattPatt. We'll be catching you later on because the next episode, we're going to recap week 1 in the NFL, week 2 of college football. A lot of good things going on, a lot of good direction. I saw this episode. I graded some great points. But I'm going to get into some more film stuff on Wednesday, Thursday, maybe tomorrow. I'm going to get into some more film stuff because some of you experts around, some of you fans around that watch football really think you watch football when you really don't know football. Some of this play calling is really bad. I understand teams may have won or may have lost. But me being around one of the best coaches in America, I know football. Totem Nation, this is Lambo's World of Sports. Thank you, Silent Sports Network, for giving me the opportunity. And me and MattPatt will go a long way on this channel. So Totem Nation, be catching you later on. Lambo's World.